We're here at HIMSS 2016 in Las Vegas with Colin from Stericycle. Welcome, Colin.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, so it's been interesting watching the Twitter stream, and there's been some interesting focus on the patient, or maybe the lack of patient focus. At least that's what the people on social media are saying. And I think that the exhibitors and the people at HIMSS sometimes get a bad rap about the patient experience, about focus on the patient. Tell us your thoughts about what you've seen and your experience.
Well, I think vendors could probably do a lot more with patients. I mean, one of the comments I made on Twitter was, we don't see a lot of patients here, and I think it could be incumbent on us vendors to maybe encourage more patients to come, put up some money for scholarships, and get their voice to be heard here. So I think there's more that can be done, but I think it's a little maybe unfair to say that vendors don't care about patients at all. I mean, we wouldn't be here at all if it wasn't for patients. And we are, I think, all in general trying to do things that are trying to make patients' lives better, whether it's through technology, whether it's through better service. So I think we're doing an okay job, and I just think in this context, with all the tchotchkes and all those things given away, it can kind of make it seem that we're not caring about patients, but I think it's a little unfair to paint everyone with that one brush.
Indeed, and social media has a way to blow up anything. So, yeah. I mean, tell us some of the things you are doing for patients, and I like the concept of the patient experience. What are you doing at Stericycle, and what do you see happening that really transforms the patient experience in a way that's beautiful?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting thing. At Stericycle, we were really focused on what I call the base level of experience because, yes, we all would love to have a better patient experience. We believe that one of the foundational elements is communication. So you can't have experience without a relationship with your patients, and you can't have a relationship without communication. And that's kind of what we provide. And so how we're helping build that layer of technologies and services that allow providers to communicate with their patients more effectively and more seamlessly. Once you have that, then you can get into all that fancy stuff about improving the experience around, better lobbies and all these other services you can do. But it layers on top of a very foundational element of communication.
It's true. I mean, the lack of communication that exists between the doctors, it seems like in the past we almost created these silos because the doctor didn't want to talk with the patient because they were afraid of wasting their time or inappropriate access. But it seems like we've seen kind of a shift that now it's like, patients are going to require this in the future, or you're not going to be in business.
Exactly. I mean, I was just in another conference earlier than HIMSS, and we were discussing about how 80% of patients they want their physicians to communicate with them electronically in some electronic manner. Yet there's only about 30% of physicians even offer that as a channel, and even then it's very guarded, and they can't say very much because they're all worried about HIPAA, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, we can communicate with anybody now. We can communicate with our bank. We can communicate with our kids' teachers, all electronically. Yet we can't communicate with our doctors in the method that we choose. And so that's kind of how. And you're right. I think there's been a shift in the last couple of years where now people are opening up to saying, hey, look, let's take advantage of some of these other electronic forms of communication.
Right. Well, and it's interesting, you compare it to the banks and other things. I mean, with our smartphone, we can order almost anything, but we can't order a doctor's office visit, right? I mean, it's starting to, I think, right? I mean, so I think that's the other part is access, whether it's telemedicine, whether it's online booking, where do you see all that headed?
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that kind of annoys people is like, yeah, I can book a restaurant at some of the fanciest restaurants in the country. I can't get in to see my specialist. I can't even get to see my GP. I can't do that online. And so actually one of the tools that is now part of the Stericycle family is it's a tool called InQuicker, and that allows patients to self-schedule their appointments through the website of the hospital or of the practice. So you just go online, say this is the kind of specialist I need to see, or this is the person I'm supposed to see. You can then look up and say, well, here's the availability. You pick a slot, and through direct integration with the EHR, we're able to book that appointment for them and get the confirmation, all done online, all self-serve, no phone call needed, which is kind of the experience that everyone wants, right?
Which is the crazy thing, because you'd think practice would want this, right? Because they're wasting so much time on the phone, playing phone tag, trying to schedule people. Like, it seems like it's time for it to come, and I'm glad to hear it's getting close.
Yeah, and I think maybe in the past there was a fear, kind of like what happens when you rent a car. You rent it and then you book it and then you don't show up. But there's been repeated statistics that have now shown that although that might happen with the rental car agencies, it certainly doesn't happen with medical appointments. People want those appointments. And so now I think now that there's some statistics out there that show this trend, a lot more people are jumping on board and saying, okay, it's all right that I'm allowing patients to self-schedule. And so that's been for us, that to me anyways, that's been the big reversal of the trend is when this study came out.
And that's a fascinating connection between Stericycle, right? Because if you self-book, then now you have all the solutions to remind them through your communication platform.
Exactly.
That's pretty genius.
Yeah, that's actually how we're kind of bringing it all together. We know that our phone business, our traditional live agent business, that's going to be in decline over the next 10 years,
Right.
because people don't want to talk to an agent anymore to book an appointment. And so what we're doing is investing in
calls.
technology to do it for so they can do it themselves. And then on the back end, we'll remind them, make sure they actually do show up,
Yeah.
and they do take that slot that they booked.
Excellent. Any other thoughts on the patient and our need to focus more on the patient?
I think just given that we're at HIMSS and we're with all these IT folks here, I would say one of the trends I would love to see and we hear talked about more is really getting patients involved in product design. I mean, we hear about patient focus groups and so forth, but I think really bringing the patients in to help them design the user experience from their point of view, especially for things like online scheduling and other things like that touch the patients. I hope that trend actually takes off. And I'm certainly hearing a lot more buzz about that here at the show, on the show floor, where people are creating these kind of user groups to get together to help them with the user experience and the user design.
Yeah, I think as the reimbursement changes, they're going to have to do that, or they're going to be out of business.
Exactly, absolutely. But it's been fun. I mean, this has been probably the best HIMSS ever that I've been at. Certainly, I know it's in your hometown, so we always have a lot of fun here.
Yeah.
And it's been great. HIMSS has been great.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing your insights.
Thank you.